All right, everybody. My name is Jason King, and I have been a teacher for almost 23 years. And in that time, I have experienced a multitude of young people that when I'm done teaching them, they get scattered to the wind. And so this podcast, Catching Up King, is all about me reconnecting with some of my former students. And today I've got a really awesome young man. His name is Jacob Grimes. And there he is.
How y'all doing, everybody?
Jacob was a former speech and debate student. Okay, so he took speech and debate 1 and speech and debate 2 with me. Sad 1 and 2 sad. And he is one of the absolute best, not only debaters, but orators I've ever met. This kid is sharp as a tack. He can construct some of the tightest, most poignant arguments you ever heard in your life. And he can speak extemporaneously off the top of his head about any number of issues, just pow, articulately, and it's beautiful. So absolutely love that about him. And he also is in the service. He was actually one of my TAs before the school took those from me. I guess they didn't feel like I was making him work hard enough, but so he definitely gave a lot of feedback to a lot of my students and helped a lot of kids in that regard. And I've always appreciated him just for his depth and thoughtfulness. And today we're going to catch up, and I just want to get an idea as to where he's been and what he's doing, and maybe some of your musings about the world. So let's start out with that, Jacob. Maybe start out with what you remember about the time we were together.
Yep.
And then where'd you go from there?
Well, I mean, first, honestly, that was probably the most kind introduction I've ever had. And before we started doing this, I told Mr. King, you're going to make me blush by all this. So I don't know if you can see it, but I feel like blushing right now. I don't know if I'm physically capable of doing that.
You're a little red.
a little red.
It's warm
out too. That's the sun. It's the sun. But no, from what I remember from our time together in high school, speech and debate was actually my favorite class in high school. I love speech and debate, which was surprising because I actually went to Heritage for history.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I was slated for Rollsville, but I went through my father's address and I went to Heritage because they had better history classes.
Okay.
But
I got to tell some of my history colleagues that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Speech and debate, that was my favorite class. And there's something about how you construct your arguments and proposals that really got me. It's really the extemp's great, but being able to have that division and have that what's the word I'm looking for? Have that construction inside of your head of the proper way to phrase a debate. And the word's going to come back to me in a minute, but that was the big pull with reading classical literature and classical logic, especially with Pseudo-Cicero's Rhetorica ad Herennium, as well as Cicero's On Oratory and the divisions of oratory. Those types of things really, really pull me. I love those.
And see, that's one of the things I've always really appreciated about you is sort of your appreciation for, and I'm going to call it like the ancient wisdom. And I think Cicero was very much known for that. Mm-hmm. And I think that has always been, a strength for you. How does that translate though from that time in the classroom to now? Like what are you seeing that would allow that sort of that understanding, that skill to sort of be applied in your life today?
Yeah, that's a good question, because a lot of people think that there is no application of all these old documents to modern era.
Right. Yeah.
Essentially what this is there are so many different data points that you build up from so many different situations, right? You can cut and paste things, almost like you have the horror stories where the murderer has magazine cutouts and he makes
yeah.
You're able to cut and stitch all the best ideas from different eras, and you can try out new things without having to reinvent the wheel over and over and over again. So being able to do that and looking at people like George Washington, for example, like how does George Washington influence the way that we live our lives today to live a better and more virtuous life, right? So that whole concept, I think it can bolster the way you live your life.
And you would think, though, in the modern era, with all the tools to be able to find information, that people would do that more routinely. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that's necessarily true.
No,
Why not?
Well, that reminds me of what I think it was either Wycliffe or Tyndale. It might have been Wycliffe. He said that he won't stop translating the Bible until every single plowboy knew more than the bishop, right? So I think now You know, I think Tyndale's almost been proven a little bit wrong in the modern era because, I mean, everything we could possibly have is translated, and everybody has the highest degrees of literacy at their fingertips if they put in the effort. But so many things are handed to us now, we simply don't want to put in the effort. And you would think, I mean, with all these different resources.
Right, yeah, that's ironic.
Yeah, people just don't use them. They don't use them.
The age of information, we actually found ourselves almost empty.
Yeah, it's a paralysis. We have so many different choices and so many different avenues. We're paralyzed.
I read something one time about, going in the grocery store and just at checkout line. If you just look at the number of choices you have, it itself becomes a paralysis. But the fact that there are multiple choices leads you to feel like you have to make one.
Yeah.
It's like why you always see a Pepsi and Coke machine beside each other. It helps both of them.
Yeah, that's one of my more hot takes with Pepsi and Coke. I'm a North Carolinian, but I'm going to go on record saying that I like Coke better than Pepsi.
Oh, man.
But the real sugar Pepsis in the darker cans are better than a regular Coke.
Okay, because I'm of the opinion that Coke in the bottle is the best. Like if the little glass bottles.
Okay.
You remember that? Okay.
The Mexican Coke.
That's what they call it because it's real cane sugar. Yeah. Absolutely. I think those are the best.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I've started to like the ones, like Pepsi one, Coke one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, reaching back to that word I forgot, arrangement.
Arrangement. Okay.
You got invention, arrangement, and there's a few more in there, but the big one that Cicero was trying to teach was delivery in his own oratory. Which is an odd thing to teach inside of inside of literature. You can't really teach delivery in a book. But anyway, I digress.
But you can use the book to inspire delivery, which is what speech and debate teachers have been doing forever. English teachers forever.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's definitely a skill that everybody needs to have.
Yeah.
Public speaking.
Right. And you would think, but it's terrifying to people.
It is.
It's terrifying to people. And I don't know about you, but it still terrifies me.
Yeah.
Like I'm afraid. I've just done it so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that vulnerability is such a way to, and you saw that in class, people feel vulnerable, but when you create an environment where people feel safe, then they can grow.
They can do it.
They can grow.
Yeah, I
dig that.
I dig that.
They can grow. Well, let me ask you this. So since school, where are you now? Like, what are you doing? What are you up to?
Okay. I guess I got to do a little bit of backstory to bring you up to speed with where I'm at right now. So immediately after getting out of high school, I ended up going into Liberty University at Lynchburg. So immediately going in, I went in for business entrepreneurship. Right, loved it. Never changed majors. Did that, and actually, what I did while I was there was a huge abandoned facility, probably worth around $200,000, $300,000, sitting on a couple square acres, and they had greenhouses or hoop houses, and they were abandoned, right? So I have a little bit of a history in horticulture. In high school, I was helping my grandfather, and he had about 1/5 of an acre of a garden, which is a large garden.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
I helped him keep up fences and stuff like that on his large property. But I went in with a little bit of a history of horticulture to running a operation for the school. So I walked in and I took over a $200,000 operation, and I rebooted the entire thing, and we did it all for charity, right? And we got free labor from the school for doing that.
Nice.
Yeah. So I did that, and that gave me a platform to get into horticulture market, right? Which is a whole different aspect of farming. You can farm for fun and donations, but sales is completely different. So for the past 2 or 3 years, I've actually had my own business farming, and I pitched the idea to a local landholder. I had 10 acres for 2 years, and now I just moved properties. So now I'm on a house with 40 acres, and I went into grad school while I was doing that. Yeah. So I did project management in grad school, got my grad degree with the MBA, and I was doing horticulture at NC State at the same time. So I get out of grad school, I have the farming business. It's just a side hustle. And that's when I go into insurance, right? Because I like being friendly.
Oh, yeah.
I like being friendly, and I like learning documents. So that's kind
you
of
will be a great insurance person. Oh, my God. That is awesome, man. Well, let me ask you this. What would you have wanted to have learned or been exposed to maybe in high school, even my class? That in retrospect now you see would have been of value to you.
Oh yeah. So I had a huge amount of struggles in college. Now people will tell me I'm disciplined, but I had a huge amount of struggle with discipline. Mm-hmm. So the schedule that was forced upon me in high school was you get to school by 7:30. And then even after your 8-hour day, you work on homework. And it led to a lot of exhaustion in my life. So I kind of went to the opposite end in college. and I would have a hard time getting up at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, right? So yeah,
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
So it's taken me a while, but I've reinstilled that discipline of my own accord.
Yeah.
And now getting up in the morning at 5 to 5:30 and going to bed on time.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's not about getting up early. It's about going to bed on time. Right?
Yeah.
So going to bed and putting the phone down around 8 or 9 o'clock and sitting there going to bed, that has revolutionized my life. So I wish I had that level of wisdom back then. I could have gotten so much stuff done in college that I just didn't with that.
How do we move people toward the embrace of wisdom? How do we impart that on people, without sort of like shaking them into it? Like, how do we do that?
I think certain people can adopt it easier than others, but some people like me need the school of hard knocks. Right? you don't learn not to put your hand on the stove until you put your hand on the stove. So negative reinforcement really helps me that this is actually a little bit destructive.
Spare the rod, spoil the child. I think we talked about that.
Right.
Absolutely. Let me ask you another question. Given now that you're out in the world and you're sort of experiencing, the world as an adult, as full operations, you're in the abstract. What do you see as the biggest challenges that we're facing, not only for individuals but just as a nation? Like, what do you see as?
I think a world has been handed to my generation that's very, very complicated, and once you get out of high school and college, you start to learn that the world doesn't revolve around you. The world keeps on going, and you have to make a place in the world. And whatever you do, it's not completely self-made. It's going to be on the shoulders of somebody else. So relying upon someone else, learning from their knowledge, and humbling yourself under a mentor, it really helps out a lot.
Man, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Now, with that said, where are we going? Where are you headed? Where
am I headed?
Yeah, we catch up in 10 years. Where are we going to be?
Right now, I'm putting in the groundwork for building a legacy, I think.
Okay.
It always
It
starts out slow, but it's a lot like building a mountain with pebbles, right? Right. You're catching me. You're catching me right now. I have one handful of pebbles.
Yes,
that I've started
pebbles,
out with. But catch me in 10 years, and I might have a couple thousand handfuls of pebbles, because I just keep on stacking those pebbles.
Well, son, with those stones, I hope you build an empire.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
And I hope we catch up in one day to hear about that empire, an empire of service, because I know you'll share those gifts you've been given, and you have been. It's been a joy catching up with you again, and I appreciate that, buddy. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. All right.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Thank you.